Hi, it's me, Roger. Doing another Roadshow update. Been a while since I've done one. So anyway, it's coming up on the Christmas holidays. We've got about another week before Christmas. So this is one of my favorite times of the year to really clean up a lot of my fishing tackle, work on the boat, get things ready for the tournament season starting in January. So anyway, I haven't really done a lot of fishing equipment videos. I've done some hunting stuff, so I'm going to go over my setups and show what I use equipment wise and stuff like that. So anyway, none of my stuff is extremely expensive. A lot of it's old, out of date. I have refreshed a couple things, and I'll kind of go over those in the video as well. So without that, I'll show you what I have. I've got several setups. I've got 1, 2, 4, 6. I've got 8 bait casters, and I've got 1 spinning rod. So for this particular video, I'm going to go over the bait casters alone. Anyway, I'm going to start at the largest. This is my flipping stick. This is kind of the stuff I refreshed right here. I bought 3 Abu Revos this year with a 7.1 gear ratio to refresh some other reels I had, and most of my stuff is Bass Pro Shop equipment. As you'll kind of see, the power humps and stuff like that on some of my rods, they're really old, but I've taken real good care of them. I've repaired them as what I go when I'll kind of go through that. This is my flipping stick. It's a 7'6" 2-piece extension, extending where the main part of the rod extends out into the sleeve right here. So my flipping stick, I use 30-pound Power Pro on it. I flip a lot of tubes, a lot of small creature baits, lizards and stuff like that. To kind of help with the grips on the rod, I get some of this athletic tape that you see at the stores. Used to, in the old days, it looked kind of like gauze that went on tennis racket handles. But anyway, most of my rods are 12 plus years old. The cork is kind of worn out. It stays dirty. So every season I wrap these with this, and it kind of helps preserve that cork, keeps it together, and it kind of helps you get a little grip on your hand right here. This is heavy action. I'm thinking about upgrading to a 50-pound Power Pro, but I like 30. It flips in heavy cover real well. It's nice and easy. A lot of times I use smaller, lighter baits, so it helps. This is my Carolina rig rod. I don't do a lot of deep water fishing, so when I talk about Carolina rigging, to me it's around 12 to 15 foot in depth or less. I'm not a big deep water fisherman. This is a medium heavy action. I use a 20-pound mainline monofilament with a 15-pound leader. This setup right here probably gets my most use. It's my Senko and Frog rod. It's got Power Pro on it as well. It's a medium action. The top maybe 2 inches of the rod broke off, so I was able to fix that with another end guide, and it really gave it a little better action. So it's what, 6'10" now, something like that. Spinnerbait rod, I will use 15-pound monofilament. I throw a lot of chatterbaits, a lot of spinnerbait, stuff like that. 6'6", medium action. These are a lot of my Bass Pro Shop reels, and prior to upgrading these 2 reels, all of my reels were Bass Pro Shop Extremes or David Fritz cranking reels. They are around 12 plus years old. I buy a lot of different spare parts off eBay or buy other people's reels that are not working, upgrade the parts internally, and that's where these 2 reels came in right here. These were not working well, and I had some spare reels and upgraded the internals of them, and they do well. This is kind of like my finesse rod right here. I will use swim baits, light Texas rig, or maybe some fish head spins on. It's got a 12-pound monofilament. I'll throw that a lot around docks or small areas or riprap or something like that. When I get into my cranking setups, I am a little particular about cranking. I use a 5.1 gear ratio reel. I'm sorry, that's 5.2 gear ratio reel. These are David Fritz cranking reels from Bass Pro Shop. These reels are around 10-12 years old also, maybe more. I've really taken good care of these. I love the way they feel in your hand. This slower retrieves helps me feel the crankbait, what it's doing over rocks, limbs, etc. This is my largest crankbait. I use half-inch traps, deep diving crankbaits, DD22s, DD14s, Big Devil's Horse or something like that. My next this one uses 15-pound test, by the way. This is primarily my main rattle trap rod. I will use 1/4-ounce traps on it. Some, Norman Deep little ends or some bandits or something like that. But it's got 12-pound mono. These rods right here are cranking sticks. They're IM6 modulus rods. You can't find these anymore. I really, really like them. I've fixed eyes on them. I've done everything. I've rewrapped guides and stuff like that to help keep them. The action has a really good flex to it to help those fish from coming unbuttoned by having a good parabolic bend into them. My smallest cranking rod, I still use 12-pound test, but this is where I use a lot of smaller crankbaits. I'll use some different WeRs or some small little ends or something like that. This is if I fish a lot of riprap or bridges around area or something like that, like you might see in some of our areas around Lake Ray Hubbard or Lake Lavon. This little crankbait, I can fling it real well. It's a medium light action, and I can really throw those small crankbaits out there. And with that 12-pound line, I can get down there really well. So, anyway, that's most of my setups. I kind of went through them quick, but I don't have an overabundance of setups. I know people will look at these and go, oh my Lord, he's got 8 rods. But really, compared to a lot of the other guys I see, I'm really on kind of the, the bottom end on what I have, number of setups, the number of cost per setup, and stuff like that. I'm a frugal shopper. I believe in taking care of my equipment, finding good equipment, maintaining it each year, cleaning them, replacing parts that are broken, and stuff like that. I do have a spinning rod, like I mentioned. It's a 6'6" medium action with a Shimano 4000 on it. I don't use it a lot. If I'm going to do maybe some drop shotting, which I don't do a lot of, or some very last split shot rigs, I will break that out. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. God bless y'all. Have some good holidays. Bye.